Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, the Honorable Mr. Hasan Halawi, as the lecturer of this Semantics and Pragmatics, which unfortunately cannot stand here with us, but I always have to seek for his guidance. And then our beloved friends. Today we're going to giving you some work that we do. It's about the speech acts. But before we jump into our presentation, let me introduce our team first. Our team consists myself, Yoda Miskanto, as moderator, and then the next to me is Miss Najila, and the next to me is Miss Ayu, and then the last but not least is Miss Laili. And without any further ado, let's jump into the presentation. Line up, please.
Okay. For the first one is introduction to speech act. When we speak, we don't just say words, we do things with them. For example, I promise I will come. Not only words, but the act of promising. Important figures is from Austin. To say something is to do something. And Shirley said that expanded speech act theory in Pragmatics. Here we understand that speaking isn't just about producing sentence. It's about performing action. For example, when someone says I promise, they are not just expressing a thought. They are committing themselves doing the act of promising. And this is what Austin means by his famous line, to say something is to do something. Johnson Lee later developed this idea further, giving it more structure. He introduced a theory that shows how language functions in real life interaction, not just what words mean, but what they're used to do in communication. And next, semantics versus pragmatics in speech act. Semantics, we focus on the literal meaning, not context meaning. Example, can you close the door? This is asking about ability. And for pragmatics, we focus on the speaker's intention, meaning change with context. Example, can you close the door? This is polite request. Semantics is only concerned with the literal meaning of words or sentence. So when someone says, can you close the door? Semantically, it's just a question about ability. But in real conversation, we understand as a request that shift interpreting the speaker's actual intended meaning is what pragmatics deals with, and this is where speech act operates. In pragmatics, we don't recognize that speakers use language to act, not just describe. And next, we'll present by Ai.
interaction at first, such as ordering, asking from seeking, from missing. Example, I am hungry. The intention might be asking for food. Level 3, prolocutionary acts. This is the effect or impact of the utterance of the speaker. The reaction, communicate action, emotion, sense of mind. Example, the interrogator gives force because they feel quickly. This three level occur simultaneously in every utterance. Next. Illustration of three-tier interaction. The same sentences can contain the three different locations depending on how we interpret it. Levels the sound that can utterance not only contains information but also interaction and effect. Next. Focus on illocutionary acts. The illocutionary acts in the center of the speech act because it is where the speaker conveys the interaction, meaning, and communicative purpose. Illocutionary acts show that speaking is going through the what the social location of the interactive. Example, commanding, please get the book. Stating, the weather is sunny today. Promising, I will help you tonight. Congratulating, happy birthday. One sentences can have different illocutionary meanings depending on context, intonation, and the relationship between speaker. Next. 5 types of illocutionary acts. John Square classified illocutionary acts into 5 main categories based on the speaker communicative purpose. Number 1, assertive utterance that stated belief or opinions. So the speaker believes in the truth of why they are speaking. Example, the earth is round or today is very hot. Number 2, directive utterance that attempt to get the listener to do something includes commands, requires, suggestion, notifications. Example, please close the window or have a seat or don't be noisy. They are usually in the form of imperative or interrogative. Next. Number 3, communicative utterance that stated the speaker communicated to do something in the future. Includes promise, promises, interaction, and offers. Example, I will join the competition tomorrow, or I promise I want to attend. Number 4, expressive. So speakers, feeling or emotional attitudes. They do not set focus but experience more yes. Example, thank you so much, or I am very disappointed, or I am sorry. Number 5, declaration. Congress that cause urgent change in social status. The speaker must have the authority to change something to the interest. Example, you are fired, or with this you are officially husband and wife. Declaration are only fired for by someone with authority. And the next material we will
In other words, the sentence is used in accordance with its
the listener understand the speaker's intention without making it twist. Indirect speech, according to Vizena, involves understanding the hidden meaning or the speaker's real intention. It explores the mismatch between the structure and the function of the utterance. In contrast to direct speech act, indirect speech act carry a hidden meaning, or one that is not immediately apparent from the sentence structure. Often the form of the sentence does not match its actual purpose, so the listener must interpret the speaker's intention based on context. Next. For example, when someone says the floor is full of dust, this sentence directly says that floor is dusty. But if you look deeper in indirect speech, the speaker might actually be asking someone to clean it. Another example, if someone says, "Buy me some food, please," the sentence clearly shows what the speaker wants. To be bought food is in the form of a comment, and the meaning is also a request. But in direct speech, if they say, "I haven't eaten since this morning, I'm so hungry," at first it sounds like just a complaint or a simple statement, but actually the speaker might be hoping that the listener will buy them food or at least help in some way. Next. Felicity conditions are specific requirements that must be fulfilled for a speech act to be considered successful and meaningful according to the speaker's intention. Felicity conditions are like the hidden rules that make a speech act successful. Even if a sentence is grammatically correct, it won't really work unless the conditions are met. In other words, saying something isn't enough. The situation, the speaker's intention, and the context all need to make sense from the adherence to truly count. For example, please close the door. This sentence is valid because closing the door. According to John Sedley, felicity condition have 4 types. First, propositional condition. Propositional condition, this condition about what is being said. The content of the sentence need to match the type of speech act. For example, if you are giving a command, it should refer to an action the listener can realistically do in the future. For example, please close the door. The sentence is valid because closing the door is something the listener can actually do. The content match the function is a reasonable to Apple request. Another example, don't forget to submit your assignment tomorrow. This valid because the content talks about a possible future action the listener is responsible for. The next type is preparatory condition. Preparatory condition relate to the given situation. The speaker must assume the listener is able and willing to perform the act, and the context must make the speech act reasonable. Basically, it answers the question: is it appropriate to say this right now? For example, be careful, the road is slippery. The speaker is aware of danger that might affect the hearer. This makes sense because the speaker knows there's danger and the hearer might not know yet, so the warning is valid and appropriate. Another example, you won't like it if you say that. Here, the speaker assumes something about the future reaction of someone else. The warning is based on a about social recognition. Both of the speaker and the listeners must understand what kind of act is being performed. It's not just about the words, it's about what the words are meant to do in the moment. For example, I now pronounce you husband and wife. This only works if the speaker has the authority, like priest or wedding official. The utterance counts as a declaration. The last example, I need help. Can you help me study? This is understood by both speaker and hearer as a request. It works as long as the intention is clear and both sides recognize it as a request.
Okay, thank you very much for the time. And now we're going to discuss about some speech act recognition. But before, have you ever heard about speech act recognition is? No. So yeah, just like the slide shows, the speech act recognition is the process of identifying what kind of action a speaker is performing through the words. Not just understanding the literal meaning of the sentence, but understanding the speaker's intention behind it. So, when we speak, we are not only saying something, we are also doing something like making a request, and then making a compliment, giving a promise, and then, offering an apology, and then this is the essence of the speech theory. And this was firstly proposed by John L. Austin by 1962 and further developed by John Searle in the year of 1969. And then the next. And this is very important because all the theories begin or lead to the next step of the understanding about the theoretical background. And this is, we can conclude that according to Austin and Searle, every speech has three layers, which is the utterance, locutionary acts, and illocutionary acts. And what I mean is utterance like, just like the real sentence, you know, like when we doing something, it's just like utterance. I mean, it's showing the fact that we will do or we, this is fact like that. For the example, like that, is I promise I will call you tonight. That is the utterance. So the little meaning is just like this: someone is promised to call another one this night, and then we begin to the next step of the theory, which is the locutionary act. This act is showing the actual utterance of what is said, like I promise I will call. So it's stated that real verb or real things to do is I will call someone. And then we're going to down into the illocutionary act, which is, that is the undiscovered meaning, which is the speaker intention. It's showing what is meant or a promise. So we can grab or understanding this kind of type theoretical is important to see what is the meaning behind of a sentence. So in this context, the promise is speaker coming to action, which is to call the person like that. Nice. The next one, we're going to the type of speech acts by Searle, 1975. The first one is assertive. The assertive one is or function, status of fact or belief. Yeah, I think all of you will know about this kind of assertive meaning, but we don't know the real meaning or the real name of theoretically in semantic, of course. For the example, is writing today. You can state all the kind of facts that you show. it's rainy today and it's really hot today. Maybe one of you can show what, can you help me about what kind of fact that you know, maybe?
Sky is blue.
Yeah, the sky is blue, very good. I mean, the sky is blue is showing that this day is bright day, right? Nah, the sky is blue, it's kind of like that. So in assertive is not only used in English, but it also can use in another language or multilingual. For the example, in Islam, we can use the assertive type of sentence such as Ashhadu alla ilaha illallah. It's stated that we also believe that it is the truth and will commit into it. And in Christian, we would know that this kind of assertive, and it also is declarative, by the way. We know that I baptize you in the name of the Father, something like that. So yeah, it is so helpful and it is so practical in a lot of ways. The next one is directive. The directive function of type of speech is to ask, to request, or order someone to do something. Well, this is clearly a clear sentence that I think all of you guys know. For the example, could you help me to do something? Can you close the door? Or can you sweep the floor? Can you clean the trash? Or something like that. And then the next one is commissive. The commissive function is to commit the speaker to a future action. It's kind of like a promise, or you commit to do something. For example, like I promise to study harder. And the next one is like I will go to this. I will go to Banyuwangan, for example. I will go to Paris. I will go to Makkah. I mean like that. And then for the last one is expressive. The function of expression is to express the speaker's feelings or an attitude. For the example, I'm sorry for the mistake. It shows that these people, the speaker is feeling guilty towards someone. So it's kind of an expressive way to express the utterance like that. And then the next one. Yeah. So the next one is, what does the speech art recognition do? The speech art recognition helps us understand the speaker's true intention, and this is essential in real life communication where words can have indirect meaning depending on the situation. So for the example, can you pass the salt? So this literal meaning is asking for someone's ability. So in intended meaning, or in the dictionary act, is a polite request. So this recognized speech act is directed. And then next one. So what is the importance of this speech act is in the real world? The importance in human communication, it prevents misunderstanding and improves social interaction. This can show about the things that we should do in everyday life. That we, if we cross the the bully, for example, or the foreigner from the outside, we can also understand the way when we speak, especially we can get more knowledge if we understand about the the speak out theory like this. So, and let's jump into the next one. In the language learning, learners need to understand how language functions in the different social extent. So, in this kind of type, we also know that we always learning about the semantics, pragmatics, and any others to get more to know about the things that we want to discuss about the theory, about the kind of like this. Yeah, we make sure that we always get more to know about the things So in order to develop our skill and then make a better future. And in technology, we know that AI or NLP, which is virtual assistant like Siri or Alexa or any chatbots like Gemini, ChatGPT, this is the use of the speak act theory in the real life. I'm not sure if I'm doing this correct, but I know that all this kind of technology, and especially in the AI, use like the speech as theory to understand what's the meaning or the searcher's intention in order to get the right answer into every question. And then next one. Yes, the next one is the application of speak act theory and its relevance in the modern world. The first is language education. Speak act theory is fundamental in the language teaching and learning. For example, teaching ESL. Student how to say, could you please help me as a polite request rather than help me, which may sound rude. So that is we just do the everyday things like when we learn, we should know about the politeness, or we know which one is the rude ones, and then we ought to know about the things kind of like that. And then the second one is cross-cultural communication, which is I said before. The different cultures may perform the same speech act in different ways. For example, in Japan, indirect refusal like that might be difficult is common, while in the US, a direct no is often expected. Misreading this can cause confusion in business meetings. So we can find those speak act theory in other than the business. We can find this in the lawyer session. We find it in some politics session, and this kind of thing is really help us to understand more and more about the language that we use. Not just English, but we can also use it as in many languages, in all the language effort. The third one is computational linguistics and AI. Yeah, this is clearly the breakdown of the example like I showed before. Speak act recognition is essential in natural language processing or NLP, especially in chatbot, digital assistant like Siri, Alexa, customer service bots, and other AI systems. For example, when the user says, "Can you set an alarm for 7 a.m.?" the system must recognize this is a directive or a request or act, not a question about capability. Yeah, this is of course, which is I told you before that this is the kind of system that we also working out if we want to be more understand about the language structure. And then next one. Okay, before we jump into the conclusion, we would like to go to Q&A session. For anyone who has a question, can you please type into the chat group in the Semantics Pragmatics, and then we can pick 3 questions first, so we can answer it right away.